I'll go back to those notes in a second. So why did we do minus 8 at the end and not 8 minus? How did you know to do that?
Because that's how subtraction works. It says 8 less, so you gotta take it away from the number being cut in half.
Yeah, so you have to be really careful about subtraction. Is a little bit strange that way. So again, if I said you have $2 less than you had the day before, you would take the amount of money you had and subtract 2. You wouldn't take 2 minus that. You'd probably end up with some sort of negative. So 8 less than is telling us to subtract 8 from the number cut in half. Did anyone else write this another way other than 1/2 x? There's another way you could write it as well. And it's not much different. 0.5 would work. Yeah.
X over 2.
Yeah, just x over 2 would be fine as well. Those are all the same thing, so I don't, just so you guys know, if I ever write it one way, if you're like, oh, I have this way, she'd dislike that, it doesn't really matter. But that number's being cut in half, and then we're subtracting 8. All right, 3 times the sum of a number and 5. If you haven't done so already, take a minute to try that one. I'm just gonna drive back and those of you guys who are joining on the video, sorry, I forgot about you. So you might want to write these things down. You might want to pause. Yeah, while they're driving or while they're writing. Careful on that next one. So you might want to write down some of these other words. So you might want to pause it so you write that down. And then. And then expression versus equation. This is not a good example. If I could use a candy, come grab one. Bring you candy. I'm going to use it myself. Just a little sugar rush here.
Did you wake yourself up?
Yeah. It's just quick energy. Going home and put on.
All right, Will, what do you want? Will, you like Reese's? No. You like Twizzlers? No. What do you like? Not anything in there. What's like?
Whopper.
You like Jolly Ranchers? Is it in the, oh. No, I didn't find it. No, Will, I didn't find it in the bag. You want it? No. You like Whoppers?
I mean, you could technically give me a jelly.
All right.
Rancher, but I'm gonna probably give it to Ryan anyway.
Is it?
Oh my gosh.
Adds flavor.
Alright. So, sum of a number and 5. What's one of those main things I said to remember about this? The sum of a number and 5. What was one of the things I suggested that you include? What's that? Parentheses. When you hear that word sum of a number, it means we're adding 2 numbers together. But sum is telling me to add, but I also want to include a parentheses because of the fact that it's saying the answer of that. I'm taking 3 times the answer of a number and 5. So our number and 5 is our unknown again, so we have to call, a variable, whatever we want to use there. So number and 5, I'm adding those together. Now the order I add in does not matter. So if you did 5 plus m, it's fine. But 3 times the sum of that, I'm just going to do 3 times the outside of that. You can do the dot if you want, but you need the parentheses. Yeah.
Oh, would you just distribute that to 3 otherwise?
You could. I mean,
So
in this case, I would probably just,
it
would be 3m plus 15 if you distributed it. But, all right. So these were expressions, and they told us to write an expression. So if there's, hopefully they would use the right word as they're explaining these. Now these next ones say to rewrite an algebraic equation. And these aren't actually asking you to solve them. You could if you wanted to. Sorry, board, or sorry, people watching the board.
You're never sorry to be bored.
Okay. So, problem like this, it said 94 is. Anytime I see that is, I'm going to think equal sign. So 94 is. So we know what this equals. 6 more than the product of a number and 2. More than the product of a number and 2. Yeah, so 6 more then. So you're adding 6 to that. You can do the 6 in the front or the back. Addition's nice, that doesn't really matter. Front to the back doesn't matter. Product means multiplication, so we're multiplying these two together. Now if you wanted to put parentheses around it, that'd be fine, but order of operation tells us they'd still do those two together first anyway. So Kat said 2x plus 6. But again, with addition, it doesn't matter if we have that or we have 6 plus 2x. These are the same thing. So if you have one way or the other, it does not matter. And obviously, we know how to solve problems like these. I don't think we need to take the time to do that right now. Okay. If you did, you got 44? Yeah. You solved it already. All right. Okay, this one's a little bit trickier, and see if you guys can catch what they're trying to get us to do. So it says the quantity 7 minus an unknown divided by 12 is equal to 14.
Okay.
See if you can figure out. We didn't talk about the word quantity yet. Hopefully you can logically figure that out. All right, is equal to 14, I think is the easy part, so I'm going to write that.
Yes.
You have a guess? What do you think?
Maybe. I just
Oh, yeah, no, I think that looks good.
so it's
Yeah, so 17 minus an unknown, as much as that seems like it should be more complicated than it sounds, 17 minus an unknown is just 17 minus x. We don't know what it is. Divided by 12. What's being divided by 12? Yeah, that whole thing, that's where that quantity comes in. They want us to be able to write this as a big division, so that's why they use the word quantity. If they just said 17 minus an unknown divided by 12, that would mean you just divide that part by 12. Yep. Oh, sorry, I thought someone asked something. So there we divide that whole thing by 12, that quantity. So if I took that comma out and I just had 17 minus an unknown divided by 12, I guess we just divide the x by 12.
If you did 17x in parentheses and then divided by 12, would that work?
Yeah, so she said this. I was just trying to make sure you.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. This, I guess we're just used to this notation because of solving it, but that works fine. Okay? Parentheses, no parentheses. You do not need parentheses on this one. They're assumed they're there, but if you don't put them in, it's fine. All right. I'm going to talk to you guys about application problems. We've kind of done this a little bit before. So with our application problems, one of the big things is like reading the question and defining the variables. And I don't know if I'll have the right number of steps when I'm done, so we'll kind of see here. So we want to read our problem, kind of find the highlights of it. Maybe this is supposed to be 2 steps, but now this defining the variable step, I think is a step that we try to skip because people get lazy. But one of the things is it's really going to help you in the long run when you're kind of breaking this down. What do I know? What do I not know? The only thing is I would try to stick to one variable if possible. So try to like pick a variable, and if there's more than one unknown, we try to like kind of connect those two. So stick to one variable. if at all possible. We will get into 2, but the ones we should be able to do, I'm missing an I. We should be able to do with only 1 variable today. And I'll show you guys a kind of tough one to begin with for that reason. So in this problem here, we'll start with this one. A teacher is taking 28 students to Mexico on a 2-week program. There were 14 more females than males. Find the number of males and then the number of females. You must set up an equation. What do you want to call our unknown? Number of males?
That's what O1.
Okay, that's what, are you guys okay with that? We can go either way. So males. Now I would not pick a second unknown to be females. What I'm going to try and do is write the males, or write the females talking about the number of males. So what I mean by that is there's unknown females, right? 14 more females than males. So what am I going to do with the number of males to figure out the number of females? Add 14 to it. 14 more females than males. So that's the number of males. The number of females, which we're not going to call an unknown, is m plus 14. Now, had you done it the other way, you would have done females minus 14, so f minus 14. So this one's a little bit easier. So males is just m, females is, we have to add 14 more people onto the male number to figure out the female. Now to set up this equation, I want 28 total students going.
That'd be on one side equals.
That'd be on one side of the equal signs, that's gonna be what it equals. And who makes up these, like, the 28 people? Males and females, so we have males, and we have our females. So I'm gonna say the number of males is just gonna be m. Yeah, and you can use parentheses, you actually don't really need them because we're just adding. So it's also m plus 14. Because the males are m, the females are m plus 14. So I have to put those two together to figure out how many males there are, and then I'll be able to figure out the number of females. And I know some of you guys are really good at guessing and checking and figuring this out without having to set up an equation. However, part of your work will be like getting credit for setting up an equation. Because there's certain problems that you can't always just guess and check and get a right answer, like especially if there's like decimals for our work. So we find out that m is going to be 7. So there's 7 male students on the trip. And then to find out the number of females, we're just going to add 14 to that. Or you can just say if there's 28 total, and I stopped writing our steps, we'll go back and finish those. So setting up that variable, once we set up the variable, I think that's the worst part. So that once I got that, then I was kind of like, oh, let's move ahead and kind of keep doing these. So that's my fault for getting excited about the word problem. We're going to fill in the other steps though. So I'll let you guys make sure you get that finished. Now, and I'll talk again about that in these steps, I guess. So once we have those variables set up, we want to write an equation. Now obviously we're going to solve that equation. Now one of the big things is making sure you completely answer the question. So you don't want to just say M is 7. Like, kind of assume that, like, I'm kind of a moron here. Like, I need you guys to give me more information. You know, like, tell me, like, you know, explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. You know, like, kind of just give me more information than I need. So make sure you're answering the question. And there might be more than one question. And maybe some of these steps are a little bit out of order. Maybe this last step you should have already done. Make sure your answer makes sense. In word problems, I think, like, as much as students hate word problems, I like word problems because they should make sense. Like, if I'm solving, like, the problems on the front side of the paper, my answer could be -82, or it could be -5, or 5,000. There's no answer that truly, like, really makes sense if I'm just solving for a particular variable. In a problem like this, if I got 5,000 as the answer, I would, like, have some alarm bells going off. Like, I'd be like, that doesn't sound right in this situation. So word problems are nice if the numbers are numbers that you're, like, comfortable with, that you can make sense. So make sure your answer makes sense. And if you come away with this with a, you know, a negative, oh gosh, that's what I get for completely leaving. It's gonna work so much better now. What's it doing?
Okay.
No.
I think you might have left it on override one too many times.
I literally only looked over on overnight once. Alright, we're just gonna ignore that. Or it's gonna erase a bunch all at once and all my stuff will be done.
Got that virtual, write that down before it all disappears.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Oh,
What did you do, Will?
I didn't do anything.
There we go.
oh.
Alright, we might need to give the board a break.
Okay.
We're gonna go back to that road.
That would be really sad if I had to go back to the OG projector. I think it's dead. I'm gonna try shutting it down and see if we can get it to work better.
This is why we can't have